Please come back. Please come back. So what's revenue? You do business activities in order to earn the revenues from customers. So you provide the service, you sell the products in order to earn revenues from customers, but nothing for free. In order to earn the revenues from customers, you have to do something, right? So the something you have to do is what? You used your service or you used your assets. Like what? I had to pay the salaries to employees. I had to pay the money to buy materials, so on. So nothing for free. You had to use your assets or you had to use your services. You had to do something in order to earn revenues from customers. Okay? So there's a revenue and expenses. Based on revenue minus expenses, you got the profit you have. So the true money you earned, there's a profit. Okay? So what's the dividends? Dividends is expense or not? Dividends is your expense or not? Hi, put down your cell phone. So dividends is your expenses or not? It's not. So remember, dividends, not expenses. Why is that? Expenses means we use our assets, we use our service in order to earn revenues. So what does that mean, dividends? Dividends is what? Dividends is the profit we give it to shareholders, right? Dividends means what? We share the profit with shareholders. That's dividends. So they are totally different. They are not the same. So expenses is the assets, service you used. You use the assets, service in order to earn revenue. Okay? So what's the dividends? Dividends is you share profit with shareholders. So they are not the same, okay? So don't get confused. Any questions so far? So there's a very basic terms we have. No problem? Okay. So for revenues, we have two major kind of revenues. What's that? Provide service. You earn the revenues related to service, we call service revenue. So provide the service, we earn service revenue. Sell the products, we earn sales revenues. Okay? So we use two terms to describe what kind of revenue you earned. When you provide the service, you earn service revenue. When you sell the products, you earn sales revenue. Okay? So next time when I mention service revenue, what kind of revenue you earned? Provide service. When I mention sales revenue, what kind of revenue you earned? Sell the product. Okay? So two major revenues we have: sales revenue, service revenue. Then how about expenses? Oh, we have so many different expenses. in order to earn revenues from customers, we have to do a lot of things, okay? So what kind of expenses we have? Interest expense. You pay the interest to whom? Creditors. Rent expense. You also have a rent expense, right? Like what? Do you live in a dorm? If you live in the dorm, do you have to pay the rent? Yes, right? How much money you paid for each semester? $9,000? $10,000. So you pay $10,000 for one semester. Also, you pay rent expense, okay? When your company don't have their own buildings, sometimes your company have to rent the office, okay, in order to work or operate your companies. In that case, you have a rent expense when your company rent an office. Then maybe you have to pay rent expense, okay? Also, we have utility expense. Like what? Right now, we use the utility, right? You use the water, you use the electricities. So all kind of things, we call it utility expense. So it's quite common. We have to pay to the government each month utility expense for waters, for electricities. Also, you pay salaries and wages expense. Why? Because we have to hire employees. We have employees work for your company. So we have employees work for your company, right? That's why you have to pay their money. That's why we have salaries and wages expense. Also, we have advertising expense. Why is that? You want to promote your products, right? So you can see maybe you will pay the money to celebrity. You have to pay the money for advertisement. Like we see some advertisement on movies, on TV, on any way, on any channels, then we have to pay this kind of money to promote your products or promote your company. Okay. Also, we had to pay the money for insurance in case, some fires or some accidents make your company, cause your company damage. So we had to buy insurance in case to prevent some accidents, right? So you had to buy insurance. Okay, to reduce your risk. What kind of risk? Maybe your company, they have some fire or some accident. So on. So did you find out we have so many different kind of expenses your company had to pay in order to earn revenues from customers? For all of these terms, please remember it because we are going to use it. Also, that's quite common for your real world, right? Okay, any questions? Also, that's quite common for our school. Still, our school have this kind of expenses each month. So our school had to pay the interest expense to the bank. Our school had to pay rent expenses because we rent some buildings for school. Also, we had to pay the water, electricity each month. Also, our school had to pay salaries to employees, including me, right? Also, we have some advertisements on some channels, so we have to pay that. School also have insurance, so they have insurance expense each month. Okay, any questions? So that's the expenses. Then, what's dividends? Remember, dividends is we share the profit with shareholders, right? But how to get the profit? Remember, profit is revenues minus expenses. You got the profit. So we had to use our revenues minus all of our expenses. After that, we got the profit. The profit we called net income 净利. So net income 净利 is the profit you got. Okay, so if in our case you earn the revenues from customers, $200 for example. So you earn the revenues from customer $200, but we have different kind of expenses. We've mentioned like $10, $5, $2, so totally $17. After this kind of business, you earn the profit should be 183, right? So 183 is the true profit, the true money you really earned. You could use the profit to do whatever you want because that's the true amount you earned. You could use it no matter what, okay? So how about net loss? You know, net loss means what? Do we have a profit? No, it means your company a big problem when you have net loss. Net loss means what? This is your loss. 净损 means what? Means your company have a trouble. Your company is very dangerous. Why is that? Because your revenue lower than your expenses. You don't earn any profit. Also, you suffer a loss. So that's when your revenues lower than your expenses. So for example, if you have revenues like $10, you have expenses $15. In this case, you will have what? You will have a loss, $7. So there will be a big trouble for your company. You don't earn any money. Worst, you pay more than what you earned. So for this case, if this case continues each year, then your company will have a very, very, very big trouble. Okay, any questions? So first thing, we find out the profit, net income. Based on net income, profit belong to shareholders, right? So we share the profit with the shareholders. So based on this, we are going to share profit. This is your first part, share the profit, part 1. So what's the part 2? Keep in the company. keep in company. This is your part 2, right? Okay. Share profit with shareholder is your dividends. So based on the profit we got, we share some profit with the shareholders, which is dividends. Remaining keep in the company, which is retained earnings, 保留盈余. Okay? So that's why after we got the profit, based on the profit, we are going to share some profit to shareholders. We call it dividends. So based on net income, the profit, we share some of them to shareholders. We call it dividends. So based on the net income, the profit you got, we share some to your shareholders. We call it dividends. Okay? No problem? If you don't have any questions, then let's practice whether you understand it or not. Okay? So here is the concept on your page 42. Remember, what's the relationship between retained earnings and revenue, expenses, dividends? Revenues, I earn the revenues from customers, but nothing for free. In order to earn the revenues from customers, I have to use my assets. I have to use my services, okay? So after I used my assets, I use my services, then what's your profit? You got net income, right? So based on the revenue minus the expenses, revenue minus the expenses is the profit you got. The profit we call net income, okay? Then, based on the net income, the profit we earned, we decide share some profit to shareholders. So the profit we share to shareholders, we call it dividends, right? So this is your part 1. When you share the profit with shareholders. So revenue minus expenses is your net income. You share some profit with the shareholders. The remaining still in the company, we call it retained earnings, right? So retained earnings is your part 2. So what's that? Is the earnings we retain, kept in the company. The earnings in the company. Earnings means profit. Okay, any questions? No problem? Okay. Then Please go to your slide 44. Let's see if you really understand it or not. Go to your slide 44. Remember what's equity? Actually, so far we just mentioned one term, equity, to spend 1.5 hours. So what's equity? Shareholders' right in the company. So we want to know in the company how much belongs to shareholders. Okay? So it's in the company. How much belongs to shareholders? So how much belongs to shareholders in the company? Then you have to know how much they invested, they put in the company, which is share capital, right? After they invested in the company, they put the money in the company. We try to use the money to earn more money for shareholders, right? So we earn more money, we call profit, net income, right? But for profit, net income, we decide to give some profit to shareholders, which we call dividends, right? Other profit we keep in the company still belong to shareholders. We call retained earnings, okay? So in the company, they have share capital and retained earnings. That's what they have in the company. So what they have in the company? Equity. Shareholders have shareholders own in the company. But don't forget, they already got some money in their pocket. What's that? They already got some money put into their own pocket. What's that? Dividends, right? Don't forget. So shareholders already got dividends. So still, shareholders got some profit. Which is dividends. Okay? So equity only means the money in the company. That's equity. Dividends still belong to them, but they got it already, okay? Based on this, please take your time. Give me the answers. If I told you shareholders investment $1,000, after that, company do some business. So company earn the service revenue $50 from customers, but nothing for free. In order to earn the revenue $50 from customers, you used your assets, you use your services. So you have two kinds of expenses incurred. Also, this year, you decide to give shareholders dividends $12. Okay, based on numbers you have, please tell me share capital how much, return earnings how much, equity how much. Maybe we have one number, net income how much. Okay? You can discuss with your friends. Let me check the answers. You can take a break. Wake up already? Give me the numbers. You can take a break. Okay? Also, you can discuss with your friends. It's okay. Just discuss it. Any part you don't understand, you can ask me.